Hi, Annie. Hopefully you can hear me. It says it's on, so let me see. I'm still working on some stuff, guys. I'll be right with you. Hi, Chris. Hi, Donna. Hey, Alice. Hey, Vanessa. We got a fun little project here, and I've got some mess ups that I'm going to show you guys some do's and don'ts on. Still have a couple of minutes before we're ready. Has everybody had a good Valentine's Day, I hope? Hey, Belkas. Hey, Sue. Hey, there's Kathy. Hi, Elaine. Hi, Chai. I guess that's Chai. Chai. Hey, Cynthia. Anita made it. Yay, Anita. Hey, Vanessa. I threw myself a pity party for Valentine's. My husband's out of town. He was in New Orleans and I was here, so I made myself a sloppy joe and potato chips and called it a night. I know, Sue. I love these little magic boards. I got a couple of goofs here, but third time's a charm, right? We're gonna make this right this time around. Hey, Louise. Hey, Belinda. Oh, Mo. Yeah, it's Mo. You got to fix your name. I think you have to do that on YouTube on your account settings. It might be Google. I don't know. You might have to do it on Google. I know some of my stuff I have to change my Google for it to change on YouTube. All right, guys, let me play the intro and we'll go ahead and get started. So, here is tonight's project, and it is available to everybody. It's a simple project. Of course, you can change it to whatever shape you want. You can make it a circle. I did these for Easter baskets, so that's what we went with. I went with an egg. And Sue's dancing to the music there. But I made this one for Easter baskets, but you can make a bunny shaped, you can make it a circle, you can make it a square, numerous things. You don't want, of course, a bunch of little edges sticking out, so you want to keep it kind of basic shape when you make these. And I'm just going to go over what's in the file here, guys. And this is file number 133349790, in case some of you need to open it that way. Just by going to design.cricut.com/hashtag/design/ and then the number. Darnell, I want to say that I forgot your first name. Hey, Pamela. Just going to call you D. Because I don't want to get it wrong. But here we have the file, and it's just a simple egg shape. This is one that was in Design Space. I just picked it. So if you don't have access, or if it's an access image, of course you can click there and find out what's used in the project, and it tells you. It is an access image from Folk Art Festival. So if you want to change it out to a shape that works for you, you can do that. Hey, baskets. So we have our egg, and then this is a piece that I sliced off the top of that for the cover, to cover up this portion of it. Guys, I cut this out of the, let me just flip over there and show you guys. I cut this out of the Cricut Damask medium weight chipboard. This is the 1.5 millimeter Damask, and it has different patterns and stuff, but you have one sheet. There's 5 sheets, and you can get 2 of these out of one sheet, okay? If you use this smooth one instead of the patterned, you will not need one of these pieces in that file. And I'll go back and show you that right here. And I'm going to show you why. If you cut the pattern, you need this piece, the white egg. You need that as a liner. And again, I will show you why. But if you're cutting it off of just the plain flat chipboard, you do not need this piece unless you just want to cut it out of cardstock. So this is cut from the chipboard, these brown pieces. This is cut from cardstock. This piece is the mystery piece. If somebody can guess what I used for this piece, I would say I'd give you $1 million, but I don't have $1 million. Congratulations, baskets. I'm glad you came to learn with us. And then we have this piece that we cut out of, well, this blue. This is my signature blue that I use for all my acetate or windows. Hey, Marissa. This piece, this gray piece, is cut. You can use a couple of different materials. I tried using some silk screen acetate, and I'm going to show you why I changed and don't want to use that. But in a pinch, you can use it. Nope, not fabric. And then I cut this piece right here. I actually cut it from laminate. No, that is not chalkboard vinyl. I will give you a hint. It is black, but it's not vinyl either. It is window cling. Cricut window cling. That's what this is cut out of. And that's what's going to create the magic here, guys. So you have your chipboard, your damask chipboard, your cardstock if you didn't use the plain piece. You're going to have your window cling. You're going to have your laminate sheet. And you're going to have your transparency sheet. Now I ran out of time, and I'm going to test it. You guys can test it. I am going to see about just running the laminate through the machine. I'm afraid it will make it too stiff and it will clear it up. So that's one reason why I wouldn't do that. But I mean, it's up to you how you want to do it. So let's go over and let me show you how we put this together and show you what not to do. Okay? Because I had a couple of goofs on this. Okay, here's my first one, guys. And this is my little stylus, and this is nothing more than an old paintbrush, and I just pulled the metal end off of it. That's all it is. So, I mean, you can get a pack of paintbrushes pretty cheap at the dollar store that has several in there. That will work. Just pull the end off of them. Or leave it on, however you want to do it. This one, I made the goof up of not putting that liner of cardstock in there. And if you look really close, you can see how the lines bleed. They pick up the damask. They pick up the pattern off of it. So that did not work for me. Okay? You could erase it, but it just didn't make really good lines. So it's totally up to you. If you want to do it that way, you can. This particular one, I did use this silk screen positive film. It's acetate. I got it for like $2 somewhere, and I've never used it for anything because I don't do silk screen. So I was just trying to figure out a way to use it. And then I discovered on my second one where I did put the piece of cardstock, I had tonight written on here. And then I went to the store and ran some errands, and you can see my test is still there. It left an impression. So, window cling is not an adhesive. It has no adhesive to it at all, and I'm going to show you how to fix that. But and you can see these white dots that came up on here. Even though this is waterproof film, I'm going to get some alcohol here and a paper towel. And I'm just going to show you, here's a blank piece, and I've already done this once on this piece. If it gets wet or if you don't use it, see how that coating does? And it's going to turn like chalky white, and then it's going to clear up and be cloudy again. But if you leave anything drawn on the board, it leaves it in there. I don't know if you guys can see it unless I put it down, but the word test and the word tonight and the scribbles I did, they stayed on it. Now I can keep wiping it and trying to get it off, and it's going to turn white again because it's a printable screen print, okay? And like I said, it's going to turn clear, then it's going to turn white, and then it's going to go back to this milky look. But I didn't like the residue that it left. If the child leaves something scribbled on there, then it's on there permanently. So I didn't like that. So 10 minutes before, well actually probably 20 minutes before the live tonight, I said I have to come up with a way to fix that. So this was my fix. My fix was to use this right here. And all I did was pull a sheet apart, or if you have a scrap that has two pieces that you haven't heated, you just need one side of it, okay? And acetate. I use the overhead transparency acetate. Just a clear piece. Nothing special about it, not printable, nothing. Here's my laminate. And the laminate, you know, is going to be glossy on one side and smooth and cloudy on the other. And that's the way we're going to use it. We're going to leave the cloudy side up, shiny side to the back like you would iron-on, and put our transparency over the top of it. Okay? And let me show you how to put it together. This project took all of 10 minutes, guys. Cutting and everything. Well, I'm going to say 15 cutting and putting it together. But about 10 minutes to cut, and I cut 2 of them. So you could probably do it in 10 minutes. You could use just plain acetate, but let me show you what happens with that. I had my little scraps here. Here we go. Here's my window cling, and here's just my acetate. Okay, you see, there's nothing cloudy there, and I can write on it, but as it relaxes, you see it just pulls up. So you could do it that way if you want, but you don't get that same cool effect like we had when we were kids. If you use this shiny side down and the transparency over it, you get a much more defined line, and it's not going to do that because it's curling up. But you can see that it's more defined because you have that cloudiness and it becomes clear. So that's the difference. Let me see if I can separate it here and see the difference there. My camera's in the way. This is much more defined and more prominent. So, how did I do it? So we've got our base, and the damask is printed on both sides, guys. And this is just a piece of scrap cardstock that I had. It was Anna Griffin, and it doesn't matter which way you do it, but I am going to put the green side down just in case. But if you want to make it pop and cut your piece a little bit bigger, you can do that to give it a little colored border. You most certainly can. So I'm just going to take it, and I say I'm going to glue it. And you could probably make this sticky through your Xyron, which I was going to do and then forgot. But either way, you can still do it two different ways. And then I'm just going to glue it down, giving it a little bit of a border all the way around. Okay. Then I'm just going to set that to the side. Put my pen back in my glue. And I forgot to put this on there. I'm going to do a little holder. I'm going to see if it works. It may work, it may not work, but I'm going to try to. I'm just going to use a glue dot, I think, to hold that. I have some glue lines here. I'm just going to cut a small piece of it off. I want it to be inside that, right there. And then I'm going to lay my, whatever your tool is that you have there, you're going to want to make sure that it's snug enough to hold it. So that should be good. I'll put another little piece there on that end just to be sure. I don't want to go too far in because of I wanted to put it under that cardstock, so as a matter of fact, I'm not, because it's going to make my window cling lumpy. If you're going to do it, you have to do it before you put this step on there. So we'll just go with the way I had it before. Next, I've got my window cling. And window cling, guys, is just like a shiny piece of flimsy plastic on both sides. This allows it to stick to your windows and be able to pull it right back off, put it on the back end, and reuse it later. So it's just kind of floppy, no adhesive. You can wipe it off and reuse it. Several different things. Now I have a creative station here. And for you, those of you who do not know what that is, it is a sticker maker. And I'm just going to open it up and lay my little window cling right inside it and run it through. I'm just going to come out the back, and I'm going to cut it off. How easy was that? And we're just going to rub it. And this is going to make a sticker out of my window cling. You can throw away the backing on this because of course you won't be using it again. And then I just peeled back the top portion of my egg and folded that back. And then I'm just going to line it up. I'm going to try to line it up and get it perfectly even. That's why I said it might be better to put your cling on your cardstock first. Yeah, I'm off. And then cut. I might be able to get it off because I didn't press it. Yay! I have to stand up to do this. As a matter of fact, if I had it to do over again, I would definitely put it on my cardstock and then run the cardstock through the Xyron too, probably. You just want to get it on as smooth as you can. Just work it. And it's on there. And then I put a score line on these guys, and you don't have to fold these. I wouldn't fold them, and that's just for a guide. Because these pieces are a little bit bigger than this. And there's a reason why. You want a little tab down here at the bottom, but you want to leave an area for your gluing up here. So I'm just going to lay this one on, and that's my dull side up of that. I'm going to take a little piece of that glue dot and stick it right there, just so that sticks. And I'm going to put another one on the top, but not in the same spot because I don't want it to be lumpy. Just stay above the score line. And that's going to hold this next piece on. And I'm just going to line that up. Line up my holes at the bottom, and then we'll put it on there. So now we have those, and then one more glue strip. And this is just for insurance. And I'm just going to stick it right there at the top. Then I'm going to take my art glitter glue, and where my score line is, I'm not going to go below that around on this chip. You're going to line it up and hold it till it's dried. And I may have too many glue dots in there. I may have to just, as a matter of fact, I am. I used glue on the other one, but I didn't use 3 glue dots. I only used 2. So I'm just going to run one on this edge, if I can get it to stick to the edge and not me. And there we go. So use 2 glue dots and glue it, or either use all glue dots. And that's just the decorative edge so that they can pull it back without ripping it off. And then, just going to cut a piece of ribbon. I'm going to tighten that down pretty good, but you don't want to tear your acetate. And then I tied it in a knot. And then all I did for give it a holder is just tie another knot. If you want to do a bow, you can. I didn't feel it was really necessary, but tie another knot so that it's knotted there as well. And then trim your ribbons. And there you have it, guys. Now that they can write whatever they want on there, erase it and go again. How cool is that? The two clear pieces, Marissa, are just a regular overhead transparency and just one side of a laminating pouch. I pulled it apart because usually you can see right here on this edge, it's stuck to the other one so that you put your paper inside and run it through the laminator. I just pulled this apart and cut from one side of it. It is a perfect basket stuffer. I mean, the little kids are going to get a kick out of it. And again, you know, if you tie your ribbon in a knot, you got something to hold the little pencil. You could probably even put a loop of ribbon up here at the top, or a piece of Velcro like Debbie said. Put a piece of Velcro up here. Put your little cardstock animal on top of a piece of cardstock, you know, where you make a little loop like that for it to go in, and then put a piece of decorative something on the top of it. You could do that as well. Yeah, Louise, great for a kid's party, birthday party. Put their names on the top of it. You can use them for place settings. Hey, Purple Paisley. I'm going to scroll back, make sure I didn't miss any questions. Let's see. No, regular vinyl won't work, Hill. I tried that. Doesn't work because there's nothing it doesn't have that sticky, spongy feel that your window cling has. And if it stops sticking, guys, you can just wipe this with a damp rag and it will work again. Unlike the wax ones that we had, because when we were kids, they were coated with wax. And you would draw on it and lift it up and you could see the impression of what you drew. You can barely see it with the window cling, and I pressed pretty hard, and that's probably indenting the cardstock underneath and the chipboard. But it's going to last them for a while. You can do this on the Cricut Explore Air. This I did cut out a medium chip, but Belinda, you can use 2 cereal boxes and cover them with cardstock. Because you can cut cereal box with a regular blade. Work just as well. Glue 2 pieces together. It'll be just as thick. So yes, you can do this on the Explorer as well as the Maker. Debbie, you're sunburned. You must be, oh, you went to vacation in Mexico. Woohoo! Have a margarita for us. And I'm just checking. Yeah, that was a good idea, Debbie. A sticky Velcro dot or something at the top. You could wrap that around one of these paint sticks and stick it right on there. So that's a good idea. And again, guys, just about any large shape. You could probably even do a star, a rabbit, a circle, a square, the egg shape. I don't know, several things. An octagon. Yes, a lollipop stick baskets, that would work. You could give them a lollipop stick. And they sell those, the plastic ones too, in the cake section at Walmart and Michael's, Wilton. They have the plastic sticks. That would be perfect. You could use a popsicle stick. I had, this is a little sharp for little kids, but they make these where they're rounded on both ends. But that's just a coffee stirrer, and it works just as well. Grab a few at Starbucks. You can make a Starbucks themed one. Make it in a circle. Use, if you can find the dark green window cling. The darker colors are going to work better. If you use like a white window cling, you're not going to see it when you draw on it. You're going to need the darks. Yeah, this is just a paintbrush, and I just pulled the metal tip off of it because the brush wasn't any good anyway. I let it dry before I washed it and couldn't get all the paint out of it. So that completes that project, guys. Does anybody have any Design Space questions, any vinyl questions, any iron-on questions, anything at all, any project issues? I have some, it's why I'm not on camera. I have some projects in the works and they're behind me, so I can't go on camera because I can't reveal one of them yet, and I didn't have time to move it. Of course, it's not an easy move either. So, yeah, you could do these out of just the plain chipboard and cover them with holiday papers. You could do print and cuts. So you could do the Santas. But you don't want to use the film like I did on this one. You can see that they just did not bode well in my test. But luckily I can pull these apart and replace this piece with the one that does work. Print and cut, sure. Let's go over print and cut. How many of you have not done print and cut because you find it intimidating and you're not sure? Hey, Anthony. Yes, it was Debbie. Okay. Yes, Debbie, it'll be available on the playback. It sure will. Why can't you change the grid on your iPad in Design Space? 1 second, and let me check on that. If I had a GoPro on, then you guys could go through a tour of my house with me. I had to go grab my iPad because I'm not sure. And my iPad is older, so think it's because you have the snap to lines. So let me put in an image. I'm not sure if that's too much glare for you guys or not. You can. You just have to, zoom. Use your fingers to zoom. That's how you change the grid. That's just, oh, that's right. There was a glitch with this one time before. Is Jamie here? I don't think Jamie's here. It's a glitch with the iPad and Design Space. Because when you zoom, there it goes. Maybe they did fix it. Yeah, they did. But that's how you have to pinch. You can probably go to the settings too and turn it off. Let's see. I do not use my iPad to design with because I find it difficult. That's not what I wanted. So I always do that. We don't have a settings. There it is on the right. Right here, your grid. You can turn it on and off. And your lines down here on the bottom right in settings. But that's it. It's on or off or metric units or inches. So if you want to turn it off, you just go to the settings. Sarah's done print and cuts t-shirts. It's either big or big. Yeah, you have to pinch on this one. So, or either turn it on or off. So, I do have a video that shows you how to cut the print and cut with the new big grid box. So I'm not going to actually print and cut, but we can go over and take a look at how to do print and cut. If anybody needs that. I think we covered this a couple of weeks ago as well. I want to align center horizontally and save that because this is a public file for everybody. Don't want to change anything on it. Okay, so if you were doing a print and cut, let me just see if I have an upload image. Oh, here we go. Let's say that I wanted to do this rose as a print and cut. Yeah, Debbie, the iPad is a little hard to design on. I love the fact that I have one, so if I ever need the snap map feature, I've needed it once and I used it, then it comes in handy for that. But other than that, I don't use it unless I have to. So we have a rose, and it came in, and it's really, really huge. Print then cut is limited to size, guys. The maximum size is going to be 6.25 by 9.25. So on the large side, I'm sorry, 6.75 by 9.25. I always reverse that. So if I make this the maximum width that it can be, or the length at 9.25, then my height is too large. So I'm going to go over to the height and see if I can reverse it, and it's still too large that way. So the best thing that I can do is make my height my 6.25, and that's going to give me the maximum area on what I can print and cut. Now I can take that off and skew it, but then it's not going to be as pretty. Yeah, that's my video from last year when they first came out with the big bounding box instead of the 3 little corner boxes. And I actually show it cutting, but I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of how we do print and cut. Now with this, like it come in and it is a print then cut. If I change this to a cut, it is just going to be the outline, because that is what Design Space sees. This was what was brought in. If it brought it in as a square, it's going to show a square. But if we want to keep it like we had it, and I should be able to go back to original. There we go. Back to the original artwork. If I want it to stay like this, but I don't want it to cut in that shape, say I want it to cut in an oval. Have a good night, baskets. The number on the file, that was, I don't remember. It's in the description down below, baskets. Uh, 133349790. Okay, so I want this to print, and if I send this over to make it, it's going to print and it's going to cut that exact shape that I have here. It's going to print it. Here's my bounding box, and it's going to cut around the leaf, around the flower, and come out in this shape. But if I want this in an oval, how do I do that? So I'm going to just hit cancel, and I am going to get myself a shape, and I'm going to get a circle. And let's just make this, just so we can see it, I'm going to make it purple. And I want to make that an oval. I want it to fit in an oval, so I'm going to go with 7.5. There's my 6.75, and I'm 7.9 there. I'm okay. That's more of an oval. And I'm still within my 9.25675 shape. So I'm going to arrange and send that to the back. Then I would center this up. And I don't like that. It's right there on the edge. So I'm just going to kind of finagle it, maybe make it a little bit smaller. Come in here. And once you have it like you want it, you want to come up and select all and flatten. You can attach if you want to, but if I attach and I hit make it and I hit continue, and send it to the printer. And I've got my bleed on. It's really hard to see, but you can see the purple is gone. Why? Why did it go away? The reason is because I attached. And what's going to happen, I don't want to print that. I'm glad it was on print to PDF. The reason why it did that, want to cancel, yes, is because I attached it. So what I told it to do, if you look right here, I told it to print and cut that rose. So it's going to print it, and then it's going to cut it. Then it's going to cut this oval in a different mat, different color. Well, not different color. I attached it, so it changed it, and it's there. So, but it's going to cut this piece first, and then this. How do you avoid that? You have to, let me go back and undo and detach it. Now I have the two pieces individual again. If I select them both and I flatten, now you look at the layers panel and I have one single layer. It's the same thing with text, guys. If you attach your text to that, your text is going to cut out. Even though you told it to print it, it's going to cut out each and every individual letter. Just the same it would with this rose, because you attached it and all you did was staple it together and send it over there, but you left them as separate pieces, if that makes sense. So attaches like a stapler. You're just stapling it together. They can come back apart, and when they go to the mat, they are going to be separated. If you want them to be one piece, it has to be one piece in this layers panel before it goes over there. So I can even add text at this point. I can do it before I flatten everything. Here's my text. I decided I wanted some text on there. I'm going to select it all and I'm going to flatten. It is one single layer. It's going to print just like this, and then it's going to cut out only the oval because I've told it to print it like that and cut it like that. If I unflatten that and I just take my text, I flatten this, that oval is going to cut, that rose is going to cut out of there. I hit attach. I have two layers right here. So now it's going to print my letters just like I have them. It's going to print my rose just like I have it, and it's going to print my oval just like I have it because I attached them. But when it goes to cut, the word text is going to cut out of that oval, and then it's going to cut the oval. Does that make sense to everybody? Because I know there's been several people this week that's had a really, really rough time. They're like, my text is cutting out of it. How do I get my print and cut not to cut the letters? And that's why you have to flatten for print and cut. And that's why a lot of people will say, when I send my text to the mat, like this, they probably came in and they ungrouped them and they got them closer together because it was cursive or whatever, and they set it, and then they hit make it, and they come over here to the mat, and look what happened to the text. It's all jumbled up. That's not how you want it to cut. You want it to stay like it's supposed to be. In order to do that, you can attach it. You most certainly can. When you attach it and hit make it, and you come over here, then it stays like you put it. Okay? I don't attach. I very rarely attach, and I'm going to tell you why. If anything touches for whatever reason, if it's touching an image or the letters are touching each other, I'm going to make this really big so we can see it, and I attach and I hit make it, see where that X is on that E? Guess what's going to happen? Those white lines indicate cut lines. Hey, Sheila. So it's going to cut this T out of the E right there. It's going to cut this X out. More importantly, the side of that E is going to cut out of this X. So you're just going to have all these weird pieces right there. And then this T is going to cut out of the X, and the X is going to cut out of the T. So you're going to have a couple of little pieces there. So that's why I do not attach. I go back and I weld, because at this point it's just text, okay? If I weld it, no, I can't undo it, okay? But if I have 2 or 3 text lines, let me just duplicate this a couple of times. Let's say that I have, let's just say all 3 of these are names, and I have welded them together. I can't undo a weld. Weld is solid, one piece, just like welding a piece of steel. It's not going to come apart, you know, it's there. You have to cut it apart in order to get it apart with a cutting torch. Same thing, when I hit make it, they're all just like they're supposed to be, and they're going to cut just like that. They're all one piece. But I need to make a change, and I have closed this out. Right now I can go and undo and take it away, but once I close this project and come back, I can't. And even if it's a print and cut, I can change this to a print and cut. But I can use my contour, and I can come in and I can take that one out, and then I can put in the new text. And then I can make that fit in there like I want it. Get it aligned, and then I can weld that. And all I have to do to change that to a print and cut is come up here and change it to print. And now it's ready to go. I've got all my print and cut. Now it's of course going to tell me that's too large. We know that's too large, but let's go in the right size there and make it. And now everything is set to print and cut. Now these are going to cut out individually, this word, and this word, because I welded them and they are not attached to a shape. Okay? If you can see the grid in Design Space behind your letters, then it means that it's going to cut. Now this will cut as one piece because they're all touching. These are going to be 3 pieces, and this is going to be 1 piece. But I can see the grid behind that, so I know it's not going to cut to a shape. I have to have something behind it. And if I leave this one like this, it's going to print that purple color. So if you're printing on purple paper, you want to make sure that that oval is white, okay? White is the only color that's not going to print. So you're going to arrange and move that to the back. You're going to select it all and attach. So now when that goes to the mat to make it, and it hasn't disappeared, a lot of people think because that's white, you can see the little lines in there now. Occasionally you'll get those, sometimes you won't. It'll look like it disappeared. It hasn't. This might be something that they fixed recently. So you can see that it's going to cut that shape of a square. I'm just going to continue and send it to the printer. Leaving your bleed on, guys, the bleed is an indication of cut lines. You can see how blurry that got. And now it's clear. Okay? Because it's not flattened correctly. If it's blurry, that's an indication of cut lines. Okay? So now we want to go back and make sure that we get this correct. So let's cancel it. Say yes. And look right there. Ah, 2 layers. That's why. You have to have it set in one single layer, or it is not set up for a correct print then cut. Unless you intentionally want this to cut out of there, which I would just attach to regular cardstock and cut. There would be no need to print at that point. Where is the curve at now? The curve is here. So if I flatten that, you can see over here in the layers panel, it goes into one layer. So when you go to do your print and cut, make sure you only have one layer for your images, or it will not be correct. I hope that clarified the print and cut issue with text and everything for anybody. If you have questions on that, let me know. The curve is there, but this is the thing about your curve tool. We need something a little long here. Okay, so here I have my text, and I want to work with it. The only time that you're going to see your curve tool is if you've typed in your text, okay? And it's right here, between alignment and advanced. If you have more than one line, curve is not available, okay? If you come up here and you ungroup to letters, curve is available, but only for one letter. You can't select those and attach them and group them back together and get the curve. Not there. Okay? You have to do all of your curving before you do anything else. So if you want to curve your text, you're going to have to curve it like you want, size it up, get it like you want it, or close to how you want it. If you've got cursive letters, they're going to get kind of wonky when you start curving. If you want them to go in a circle, whatever you want, before you do any detaching. So if you detach anything, you can ungroup to lines, but you cannot ungroup to letters. So let me just go in there and grab that real quick. I lost my text box. There we go. And I'm just going to duplicate that. Well, I say I am. Okay, so now you see I don't have the curve tool, but I can go advance and ungroup to lines, and now I have two lines of text, and now I have the curve option. So if I want to curve this one this way, and then bring this one in straight, or curve it the other way, I can do that. And all I did was ungroup two lines. You can use your curve tool at that point, but if I go to letters, it's over. It's done. Did that help, Belinda? If you're on mobile, you're not going to have curve. I think that's right. Am I correct, guys? The curve text option is not available on mobile. Again, I don't use it. I don't know how I got my camera in there, but oh, because I clicked on camera. And go to, I guess, Edit Tools. Style, you have the style for writing, for your regular, for bold, bold italic. You have alignment, you have size, you have letter space and line space. You have height, width, rotate, horizontal, vertical, positions, and flips. You have no curve option on mobile. If you're not seeing it, Belinda, it's because you've ungrouped it, or it might be an image. That could be the issue too. A lot of times people think, like this one, believe, achieve, succeed. You would think that that is a font and that you could do that, but it isn't. If you look over here, it is actually a cut image. It's not a font. When you click on it and select it, there's no text up here. So you're only going to see your text tools if you're working with text. You're only going to see the curve option if it's available because you have not ungrouped your letters. And by the way, guys, that's how you do your S type of words if you're looking for them to go up and downhill. You curve one way, one the other, and then bring them together. If it's only like a 1/4 inch, Debbie, I cheat it. It will cut and you will be fine. It's going to tell you that you need the 12 by 24 mat when actually you can cut it out of the 12 by 12. It's just going to get really close to that edge. So watch it and make sure that the blade doesn't lift your paper up and pull it backwards as it's going back after it gets to that end of the paper. But you can just tell it that it's that you're using a 12 by 24 mat, even though you put a 12 by 12 in there, and it should cut fine if it's just a 1/4 inch. Because I've done that. If you go to 11.55 or 11.57, I think it is, I have cut it at 11.57, I believe, without it telling me that I needed a 12 by 24 mat. But over that, it tells me, and I have cut, I think, up to 11.67 or something like that without any issue. But there is a way around that. If you are cutting it out of the 12 by 12 paper and it's like a 1/4 inch, you can usually trim that off one of the flaps and it won't matter. You can just kind of trim it and it'll cut fine and take it to the 11.5. Oops. Sometimes you don't want to put an S on the end. I just want an envelope. I don't want... There we go. Let's pick that one. And sometimes if you just pick another envelope, there's a way like this one here. If you want to make a decorative edge, that you can do that without going over. Like this one says, this one came in at 12.836. It's probably for a 5x7 card. So let's check it and see. Put in a square, and you don't want to fill up your lines, but yeah, this is for a 5.8. I've never made a card that size by 7.3, so you could take this down by making that 5.7, and then you can just size this one down to fit. Oh, and that's why this is a funky envelope here. Now that'll fit a 5x7 and it will fit inside the 11.5. But if you want a fancy edge on it, you can just slice this off and then weld that on. Stretch it and weld it on and get that fancy edge on there. Good night, Debbie. We'll see you later. Thanks for joining. But there are several ways that you can do that. Again, if this has a fancy edge on it and I need it to be a 5x7 and I'm just a 1/4 inch over, I generally just come out here and just trim that 1/4 inch off that tail right there. It's going to be tucked up in and the flap is going to cover it, so it doesn't really matter, and I can fit it in that way. So I just detach my lines and then slice it, arrange, send it to the back, attach my lines back to it, and then get rid of the trash. And now I can fit it in because I just trimmed that 1/4 inch off right there, and now to go on my mat without all the design space telling me you need a longer mat and all of that. Okay, questions are good, guys. No problem at all. That's what we're here for. Every Monday night, we need to answer your questions, especially now that they've moved the line type and stuff like that. I'm not sure if you guys know, when you see multiple up here, if you change that to cut, it's also going to change your scores to cut. So you can't do it from up here. You have to come over here and select this. If you wanted that to draw, you would have to change each piece in there. But you have to click it over here. If it says multiple and you change it, it changes everything on there to cut. So just be mindful when you're changing that. Don't ask me how I know. Did I chop up something? Yes, I did. You cannot just go in there and change it that way. Because I wanted to change it a color and I did it like that, and guess what happened? Because I didn't notice that it changed my scores. You have to go back and change everything individually. Okay, guys, I appreciate you joining me. I thank you, patrons. Thank you, everybody that came. If you have any questions, come over to the group and ask. If you're not a patron supporter, consider supporting, and I will see you guys next Monday. Thank you, moderators.